as you know, it's October now. Come January, we would say at our institute, come November ending, we believe it's a phase for prelims for you to actually slowly start shifting your gears towards prelims preparation. The civil services aspirants community as a whole has been facing the issue of not being able to clear prelims. That has become a big problem for many of the students. And for the past 4-5 years, the pattern of civil services prelims exam has been such that getting the cutoff itself has become a challenge for many of you. How many of you would be giving 26 as your first attempt? Okay. If you have attempted civil services before, it's okay. Please feel free to raise your hands. We need to be able to help you. So, okay. I'm not going to ask 2-3 attempts, all that. It's okay to tell it. Never, see, unless you reach out for help, unless you come out and ask for help, you will be in the same rut, going down, doing the same mistakes. So it's very important that you ask for help. Please don't let anything, be it your ego, be it, inhibitions. Can I ask or can I not? It's very important that we bring people onto a platform where you have the experience that is needed to get those questions answered that you have regarding preliminary examination. We do have many programs for mains as well, but this particular program that we have started, this session is about elimination techniques. But many people, after writing 23-24 civil services paper, they came out and said, you must have heard all that. Eliminations have been eliminated, right? How many of you heard that statement? You didn't hear anybody come out, okay? So do you really think they have been eliminated? So the problem here is just because the certain pattern of questions were introduced, they thought, now we can't eliminate. But as a civil servant, when you are sifting through so much information, so much data, it's important that you have an eagle eye. You know what I'm talking about? An eagle eye where you can find differences, extreme statements, that don't feel relevant, data that doesn't feel relevant. You should be able to see that kind of data and eliminate it to come to decisions. Preliminary exam is not just testing your knowledge, it is also testing your ability to come to the decision quickly and be able to eliminate the unnecessary stuff. And above all, it is testing your ability to work and to decide in pressure, right? As a civil servant, you will be facing situations where you have to make important decisions under very tough timelines, and you will be responsible for thousands of people and your subordinates, your political executive that you have to be answerable to. So given this situation, it is also important that you know how to manage your emotions during the exam. That, I feel, is one of the major things that even though you have prepared well, even though you have given many marks, you come to stumble in that situation. So this program, we have started the session on elimination techniques to bring awareness to you. And one big disclaimer I would like to tell you all, we are nowhere telling you that your static part is not important. When I say static, for those of you who are new to the preparation, that is the component that it's not current affairs, it is your basic civil services syllabus that doesn't change the components of that. So static part is very important. Your previous year questions are very important. Elimination techniques also have been deciphered from that information. That is your previous year questions and all that. So whatever we are trying to bring to you is to help you achieve your civil services goal. I have seen countless people come to our institute who have mains caliber, who can really do good in answer writing, but are not able to clear prelims. I have seen many of those students, and they were excellent students in their degree, or come what may, they have done really well, but are not able to clear prelims. Why can prelims become such a big stumbling block? Why not we figure out what is it that is needed to clear prelims? And please do not think prelims as only GS. If you make that mistake, even before your paper goes to the OMR sheet evaluation, if your Seesat is not done, your GS paper is not even evaluated. How many of you know that? You know that? So it's important, don't take GS for granted. I mean, Seesat for granted. Okay? Please give it equal importance. That's why we are not running just GS elimination techniques. We're also talking about Seesat. We have Gautam, who has gone up to interview multiple times to take care of the GS part of elimination techniques today. We have Suri Teja, who is also Forest Service ranker and Civil Services ranker. He's our PCM student, and it's very, we are happy to bring you people who have been there, done that, and who have faced this exam, So we take a lot of care to bring the best to you people. So it is important that you all understand. This is just to show you how to look at the elimination techniques, not just to tell you, okay, you learn elimination techniques, you will clear prelims. We are not saying that to you. Okay, it's important that you also take care of your static part, understand elimination techniques, know how to manage your emotions even under the most difficult situations under pressure. Please practice meditation, breathing techniques. If I have more time, I would have talked to you about it, but many of you don't learn from the mistakes that you have made in exams. Please take time to understand why you made those silly mistakes. That will help you, get better. So without any further ado, we'll start the session, but I just want to also tell you about the efforts that the Institute is putting to give current affairs. This is a current affairs magazine that we run monthly. This is only a prelims current affairs magazine, very specifically for prelims civil services. I know you open your syllabus, it says current affairs of national and international importance, right? Only one line. But where will you gather all that current affairs that you need to study for prelims, which is very, very specific, and multiple sources that you have to sift through. The team that prepares this has consistently cleared prelims. They have gone up to interview some of them. So the kind of quality that Institute is putting forward, we would want all of you to be able to get the best of it. And coming to the test series also, there are multiple test series that we conduct for prelims. This Sunday, that's tomorrow, we have an open test that's free, and then one in November and one in December. This is just to give you a taste of what it is to write a full-length paper. Many students in Hyderabad do not write grand tests, do not write full-length tests. I'm specifically talking about our city, because in Delhi, it's not that case. They understand the importance of writing grand tests. They understand the importance of actually seeing a prelims paper on the whole. It's not just sectionals they write. You need to understand writing, how it feels to write a grand test, right? So get your brain trained to that. Even if you are not prepared to write, I would suggest you take an attempt at it so you know where you stand. And at the same time, for the past 4 years, we've been doing a high impact revision program, which has helped countless people who, like I mentioned to you, we have seen many students who have mains caliber but were not able to clear prelims. Exceptionally good students, they were able to clear prelims. We are Anusha Pillai is one, Ramakrishna, and many other students. Many other students. So I don't gather the names right now, but there are many students who have successfully been able to clear prelims after multiple attempts of not being able to do that. So this session is just a precursor to show you what elimination techniques can be used, but the Institute has all that covered for you with high impact revision. High impact revision also has test series incorporated into it usually, And the team that does the test series are also very, like I just told you, prelims, consistently cleared prelims. That kind of quality we try to bring to the program. So please make the best use of it. It is, so we see more rankers coming from our city, that we see in this south also, that we can uh, go up to interview, clear the ranks and make it. Okay, so all the best to you, and please make the best of this session and do write the open test. Thank you. Gautam will start, and then Gautam will start the session, and then Sudhateja will take Seesat about it. Okay, you have any questions? We'll give you time to ask questions as well. Okay, any questions now? No? Okay.
So good evening to all of you. Right. So welcome to the elimination session for prelims. And before I get into the session, I would just want a sample survey with respect to how many of you believe that you can clear prelims only with knowledge. I need only knowledge. With knowledge, I'll sail through. Okay. How many of you believe that you can clear prelims only with elimination? Is there somebody? Like, how many of you believe that you need both? Okay. Still, I don't see. Is there some third component to that? I think that. How many of you believe that you need luck to qualify prelims? Oh my God. Like, is it one only, two only, three only, or all three? All three. Fantastic. Right? Okay. So, I get a taste of this, understanding what is the sample size. How many are attempting next year, 2026 prelims? Fantastic. Right? Is there somebody who is attempting in 27 and sitting for the session today? Right. That's very proactive. Okay. Good. Now, when we look at this particular session of elimination techniques, I did not call them as tricks, but rather I'm calling them as techniques. Now, what is the difference between trick and a technique? Trick is something magical, and sometimes trick do not have any logic present with it. But whereas when you look at any technique has a logic. And when we look at elimination techniques, these are extremely logical but not magical in nature. Because you would see that, sir, how are you eliminating something like this? Or how do you say that this is wrong? How do you say that? Or how do you assume that this is incorrect? There is no assumption which is laid whenever it comes to solving a question on the basis of elimination. One fundamental basis of solving a question on the basis of elimination is with respect to logic. One. The second element, what do we consider with respect to elimination technique, is UPSC pattern. When you look at UPSC pattern, it has a pattern of setting statements, it has a pattern of setting the questions. Whatever I'm speaking now, I would substantiate as we progress on the basis of 2025 question paper. But I'll put a context to that and then we'll get into the paper. So the second thing that you see is there is a specific pattern. Suddenly, very common elimination technique that you would have come across is they would tell you eliminate extreme statements. What are extreme statements? All, every, each, none, right? Something like this, not at all. So any statement which is composing these words, you would say that is an extreme statement. And you would say eliminate that extreme statement. Now some very common logic again, or very common technique, people say wherever you see number, eliminate that statement, they say. Right? Now what is the logic behind all of this is very simple. When you look at this extreme statement of Allah question, it simply means nothing is extreme in this world. What does that mean? Every phenomena in this world has a exception, right? And you might not know about the exception. That does not mean exception doesn't exist. So there is always an exception, there is always an exemption which is existing for every phenomena that is present in this world. That's the first logic behind why should you eliminate extreme statement. Now suddenly they would come and tell you eliminate wherever you find number, you eliminate that statement. Now why should you eliminate a statement which is having number? What is the paper that we are writing, my dear? We are writing general studies. But whenever there is a number which is given, what is it becoming? Specific. Something which is general, can it be specific? No. On that particular logic, I'll give you a simple example for suppose anyway I'll show you. If you go back and refer to 2023 question paper, there is one question on Indian exports. And in that they would say statement 1 and statement 2. In statement 1, they would say Indian exports is 3.2% of global exports. Now, why were they very specific with 3.2%? Why was it not mentioned 3.19? That could have been also correct. Now, that fundamentally means in general studies, you can never have something very specific. That is why eliminate the statement with number. I can show you n number of statements like that in 2023 prelims itself. If you look, there was one question on nuclear enrichment where it says 60% enrichment. There was one question in 2023 with respect to groundwater where it talks about the proportion and it says 80% is used for domestic purpose. So wherever you find number, you will eliminate that particular statement, and the assumption here and the logic there is what? Nothing can be specific in general studies. That fundamentally means what? Every technique that you're using has a logic behind. And why you should understand this logic is very important. Because I think I'm assuming that some of you would have already given attempt. What generally any UPSC aspirant does before writing prelims is they would go through multiple elimination techniques, but they would forget to apply them in the exam hall. And the reason why they would forget to apply these in the exam hall is they do not know what is the logic behind that particular technique, right? So the second thing that you have to understand here is what? The pattern, and on the basis of the pattern we are doing it. And the third one is pure practice, right? You cannot randomly go to the exam hall and say, I'm going to apply eliminations. No, that's not going to work out. And you cannot say that just because eliminations are not working in the exam hall, you cannot say eliminations are eliminated. No. If you look at the handout that you have got, the first statement it says is what? Eliminations can never be eliminated. Please remember this. Why? Because UPSC is dependent upon how are you solving a particular problem or a question under stress. And there is a particular pattern which is followed, there is a particular logic which is mentioned, and there is some kind of generalization and understanding which is put to any question and any administrative issue which is exist. So if you look at that particular basis, the nature of the job profile that you're working for, you would always have some tricks, you would always have some techniques to be applied when it comes to prelims examination. So the third one is practice. Now here, many people would ask me, why do you need elimination? I would only say three. The three reasons why you need elimination, on top of all of it, you need elimination not to perform some magical show, but to clear exam. And always, everybody who is sitting in the class, we have one agenda when it comes to this examination. At least the first stage, we have a target of a magic figure called 100, right? Although for last 5 years, we have been seeing cutoff being less than 90. But all of our target is 100, which is a magic number when it comes to GS, right? Surya Tejas sir will talk about Seesat dimensions. I would only cover GS part. Now, when this is a magic figure that we are always looking at, we need elimination techniques. One. The second thing that you need, why do you need elimination? To tackle some questions which are very random, right? I'll show you some example of some random question. We'll see whether you have a knowledge about this. Okay. Yes. Now this is one question which is very random, I would say, right? Now the question is talking about the plant and the description, right? Half of the names we don't even know how to pronounce. మనకు తెలిసింది ఏంటి, బీరకాయ, బెండకాయ, maximum. Here they are asking some cassava, right? Ginger, ठीक है, Malabar, spinach, palakura, right? అందులో దానికి మలబార్ అంటారు అన్నది we don't know. ठीक है, mint, papaya. Now, what are they asking you? They are not asking you, tell me whether this is vegetable, fruit. No. They are asking you the description. They are saying woody shrub, herb with pseudostem, herbaceous climber, annual shrub, woody shrub. Right now, even botany people will falter here. And engineers, you know, right? So, इसका मतलब क्या है? You have to understand. I would say this is a random question. Why is it a random question? Do you study all of this? Do you need to study all of this? Will you study all of this? And do you ever in the wildest of your dreams imagine that this is going to be a question? No. Now how to solve this? Now you only have two options here, my dear. Either you solve it, right? Only two options. इसमें कुछ third option नहीं है. Either you solve it or either you leave it, right? Whenever you have this option, how will you solve it? Using eliminations. Please understand this. Why? Because you have to be very clear when I'm talking about random nature, right? If I have to tell you, because all of these are on the basis of experience, right? This is not post-mortem analysis. If you look at civil services prelims, I've cleared 6 civil services prelims. IFOS prelims, I've cleared 4 IFOS prelims. 4 plus 1, this plus 1 is 2025, right? 2016 was my first attempt and 2025 was my, right? That was for forest service examination, which fundamentally means I've cleared more than 10 prelims. And whatever I am speaking today when it comes to elimination technique, I can confidently tell you I have used all of this in the exam hall. On that basis, I am telling you. It is not post-mortem analysis. It is not like coming out of the exam hall, I am diagnosing the paper. Yes, this is the trick. That is not the condition. I am using this in the exam hall. I am telling you, first time I have used it in 2016 and the latest time that I have used it in 2025. So I have covered a range of approximately 10 years. इसका मतलब all of the tricks that I am talking about and all of the knowledge that I am sharing is first hand, right? So at least in my experience of so many prelims examinations and clearing all of them comfortably, I would say the knowledge component in prelims examination is 30 questions approximate, and the rest are random. And ma'am was making a very solid, valid point talking about static. Static becomes extremely important in this, and static becomes extremely important in this because all of the basis of my elimination technique is static. And I would teach and I would tell you as we progress across the session. So, to tackle randomness, I need eliminations. The third thing, why do you need eliminations, is memory, right? Fundamentally, most of our memory, I know you might be very good with your memory, but when it comes to me, it is little weak. When I say it is little weak, it fundamentally means I cannot remember something very complex. नहीं हो पाएगा मेरे से, right? Probably you might, but that is my limitation. Now you tell me to remember some numbers, it is tough for me. What is it going to happen at this juncture? All of us have some limitations. And when it comes to limitations, to cover that limitation of memory, I need elimination. These are the 3 reasons, because now I'll give you a simple classic example. In 2020 prelims examination, when you go back and refer, we had approximately 18 questions on agriculture. And what people started doing, people started learning agriculture engineering and agriculture science for prelims examination. I am not joking. And when people started trying to compensate this element of vacuum of knowledge by building knowledge, by studying agriculture sciences, by studying agriculture engineering, suddenly in 2021, UPSC gives only 1 question from agriculture. All of them were sitting and crying in the corner of the room, saying that we have done masters in agriculture, but only one question, that was a basic question on permaculture. Now, what is the understanding here? UPSC will always work on one principle: knowing the known and guessing the unknown. That's all. That is the fun of prelims examination. Now you come and say, sir, what is the article for scheduled areas? That everybody should know. What is the function of president? Everybody should know. What is the article for finance bill? Everybody should know. Yes or no? Now you suddenly come and ask me, some random committee has been constituted on working of something. Should I know? No. What does that mean? Knowing what is supposed to be known is extremely important for prelims. And solving which is unknown is learned through what? This is where you're going to use what? That is where you're going to use eliminations. Right? So I've set the context for eliminations when it comes to why do you need eliminations? What is the importance of eliminations? For me, importance of elimination is to solve the rest of the 70 questions. Because anyway, I'm very confident that I'm going to solve 30 plus questions using my knowledge. Because everybody reads basic books. And always remember, my dear, static is the king. Right? Static is the king. One more small apprehension most of us will have is current affairs. Now, when you talk about current affairs is never directly asked in prelims examination. For your kindest information. When you go back and refer to the way current affairs are asked, for example, in 2025, there was one question with respect to axiom, Gaganyaan. Yes, everybody was studying about Shubhanshu Shukla, everybody was studying about what is going on. In fact, I've seen people reading about what was grown in the space. Right? What was grown? Lights. Right? People were reading upon that also. But what was the question they have said? The question they asked was, which of the following missions will support microgravity research? Now, which fundamentally means that is the basis for any kind of space research which is going on. So, what do you have to understand here when it comes to current affairs? It is not direct current affairs which is asked, but rather it is extrapolated. Right? We were just having a discussion before coming to this session, me, Surya sir and ma'am. There was one question in 2025 on Coco World Cup. Suna hai kya? They asked 3 statements. I'll show you that question, don't worry. I think in this, it's around 99 or 100 question here. Well, look at that particular question there. Let me show you, enjoy. Right. Yes, look at this question. This question is talking about first Coco World Cup. And the event was held in Delhi, India. Right? Everybody knows this because India won. Okay, that's basic. Now look at the statement 2 and statement 3. Indian men beat Nepal with a score of 78 to 40 in the final to become the world champion in men category. To know this particular statement, you should have been the umpire of that match. Right? As a UPSC aspirant, it is impossible. And if you are knowing the statement by being an UPSC aspirant, then you are not UPSC aspirant. Very simple. Because both are mutually exclusive statements. I don't know. Not possible at all. Indian women beat Nepal with a score of 54-36 in the final, become the world champion in women category. Men ne women. Just. We don't know here. You fundamentally have to understand. Now, when you look at these 2 statements, when I was solving this in the exam hall, again I'm claiming it, in the exam hall, all the techniques were used where? In the exam hall, not outside the exam hall. Again a disclaimer. My fundamental logic here is what? These 2 statements are extremely what? Specific. Why? 78 to 40. What is the guarantee that it was not 78-39? Who knows? And do you think UPSC expects you to know the facts like this? No. Why? What are you doing? You are in administration. Administration deals with what? Analysis, not cramming of facts. Extremely specific. 54-36. This could have been what? 53-35. Who knows? Now what is happening here is they are getting extremely specific in which paper? What is this? General studies. And what's my logic? Nothing can be so specific as this in general studies. So automatically what do? You eliminate statement 2, statement 3. Your life is happy, my dear. Answer is one only. Right? Sir, did you play Coco World Cup? No. Were you the umpire? No. Will you? No. Will you read? I will not. Because I know UPSC will help you. One more question, similar. Because people have been talking about sports so much. You see, look at this sports question. Right? In finals of 45th, Gukesh became the world's youngest winner after defeating the Russian player. I don't know the pronunciation, sorry. Right? ठीक है अब एग्जाम हॉल में क्या ही करेगा यार you just imagine you're reading this name, are you struggling? Now by looking at the name itself I realized that if UPSC is giving some name like this, definitely what? वो तो incorrect opponent, it was not from Russia, right? Forget about Russia, forget about Iran, whoever was it. There is one technique called as fact check, right? I'll apply that technique in multiple questions. What happens is, whenever you see any question which is fact loaded, always you need to have an alarm. Why again? What is the logic, sir? Why are you saying it is fact loaded? Why alarm? Again, it is getting extremely specific. Now look at this. Abhimanyu Mishra, an American chess player, holds the record of becoming world's youngest ever grandmaster. Right? Now, if you are going through, now I am not sure and I will not tell you that second statement is correct or wrong, but I am damn sure that first statement is incorrect. Why? Too many facts here. How many facts? 45th chess, 2024, Gukesh, youngest winner, Russian, and the name. Now, when there are too many facts, what could the examiner could have done in this? Could have changed one fact. Now, just imagine instead of some country here, he brought in Russia. Automatically, what is going to happen? The statement is going to go incorrect. So, whenever you have a factually loaded statement, why is it incorrect? Because it is becoming extremely specific, and anything specific in general studies is incorrect. I'll show you one more such question. There was one question with respect to Microsoft wala. Yes. Where is that question? I think that question is missing, but belongs. Okay, I think it is missing, right? If you go back and refer to 2025 paper, there is one question with respect to manufacturing of a chip. And in that particular question, second statement will have who has manufactured it. Now 99% again, it is getting extremely specific, it is getting extremely factual. Now always remember, my dear, one thing that you'll have to take away from this is your memory will have some limitations, and to get over these limitations, you need eliminations. And always take this for granted that UPSC will only ask what is supposed to be known. If it is asking something beyond that, it fundamentally means it is giving you a clue, apply eliminations, right? So this is the context of eliminations, and we'll get into understanding of various techniques when it comes to 2025 paper. And along with this 2025 paper, I'll keep showing you how could this be applied even in 2024 and 2023. This particular question, The Reserve Bank of India mandates all the listed companies to submit. Now here, look at the second part of the statement, business responsibility and sustainability report. What is RBI meant for mostly? Fiscal or monetary policy? Monetary policy. Right? Is it got to do with some business or is it only got to do with some credit and inflation? Credit and inflation. Now, what is that organization which majorly deals with business, companies, something like SEBI? Yes. The similar pattern question could also be seen in 2021 with respect to negotiated instruments. In 2021 also in the place of RBI they have given, in the place of SEBI they have given RBI. So automatically what is happening, the statement is incorrect. In India, a company submitting a BRSR makes disclosure in the report that are largely non-financial in nature. Now what generally aspirants do with these statements is they start diagnosing this statement. Now, one simple disclaimer I would tell you. There are certain statements which are always correct. Remember these statements, my dear. One statement which is always correct is some statement which is approximate. Some statement which is progressive. Some statement which is patriotic in nature. Some statement which is positive in nature. That means it deals with optimism. Some statement which is general, some statement which is broad. And when I say something which is general and something which is broad, it simply means something which is not specific in nature. Now look at the second statement. When you look at the second statement, it is saying in India, a company submitting a BRSR makes disclosure in the report that are largely non-financial in nature. Now did they say, how do you know that this particular statement is approximate? They would use some words like this, largely, mostly, most of, approximate. They would come with those statements.
Yes.
Now they could have changed the statement if they wanted to make it incorrect. In India, a company submitting a BRSR makes disclosure in the report that are only non-financial in nature. That could have been incorrect statement. But what are they saying? That are largely non-financial in nature, which means what? It is having some component of financial as well as non-financial. Do you have to know about this particular report? No. And if you start running behind this, you are never near prelims examination. Please remember this. Why? Because I talk about something called as randomness factor, and randomness factor has been increasing. And you expect this to be learned, you expect this to be taught, and you expect this to be remembered. You can happily do PhD, not civil services prelims examination. Right? Next. So answer for this is what? 2 only. Now look at this particular question. Now there are some statement based question. One, they are giving 2 statements. Some other question is they are giving 3 statements. Why 2025 became tough? Because this proportion was more. And UPSC always has a very good habit that it gives you some hint of what is it going to do in the next year. Like it has given 2-3 statements on 3 statement based questions in 2024, and now they jump to give around 12 to 15 questions. Right? In the similar manner, they have given you a hint of 1 only, 2 only, 3 only, none of the above, that particular pattern in 2021. And they fled your paper in 2022 with that. And in 2021, we had 1-2 questions being given on statement based S1 and S2. And 2023 paper was flooded with S1 and S2, around 20 questions like that. And you always have to remember, my dear, when you are solving PYQs, it could be a FIQ also. What is FIQ? Future year question. So you cannot leave previous year questions and expect that you're going to clear prelims. Previous year question will give you what is the important theme, what is the knowledge base, what is the technique, what is the pattern, what is the mindset, what is going to be the system for next year, which is very, very specific. Now, how will you solve some statement based questions like this? you would initially see whether both the statements are correct. And if both the statements are correct, what is going to happen? You're going to see whether statement 2 is the reason for statement 1. If statement 2 is the reason for statement 1, it is automatically option A. If statement 2 is not the reason for statement 1, it is option B. And if statement 1 is right, statement 2 is incorrect, or statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is right, you have either it is option C or D. That is the pattern and algorithm of solving this particular question. You would individually check whether S1 and S2 are correct, and then see whether S2 is related to S1 or not. Now in India, income from allied agricultural activities like poultry, farming and wool raiding in rural area is exempted from any tax. How come? Right? Now wherever there is no tax, there will definitely be one tax called GST. Yes or no? Right? Suddenly you would see your bill was for 50 rupees. And when you are actually paying it, you would pay 70 rupees. And what is the justification the person is going to give you? Via GST. Right? Recently the finance minister was very cordial on reducing the slabs. Only 2 slabs now, 5 and 18%. Right? All the intermediate slabs have been removed. But this was in May 2025. So by then we had multiple slabs. By then we had some taxation system which was existing. Now any taxation system, again here it is what? Extreme. Right? I could have had some tax existing somewhere. And do you know about that? No. Manaku తెలిసిన tax ఏంటి? Direct, indirect. ఇంకెక్కువ మాట్లాడితే ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్. రైట్? ఎందుకంటే అప్పుడప్పుడు యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్. ఇంకా ఎక్సైజ్. వెరీ వెల్. ఇంకా కస్టమ్స్. అంతే కదా. మ్యాక్స్ 5 to 6. Do you know all the taxes? No. Do you know all the 17 taxes which were subsumed under GST? మనకు 17 అన్నది తెలియదు. మన మధ్య మాట. Yes or no? Now what is the fundamental understanding here, my dear? You see that any tax is an extremely, very extreme when it comes to the statement. So automatically what? I would say statement 1 is incorrect. Now when I say statement 1 is incorrect, what is going to happen? Straight away go to option D. What it says, statement 1 is not correct, but statement 2 is correct. There is no option where both the statements are incorrect. No. If one statement goes wrong, automatically option will go to either C or D. Either it is S1 or S2. Now you don't have to cross check, but if you just want to read for reading's sake, in India rural agriculture land is not considered a capital asset under. Okay, I don't know. Right? Because I'm not bothered. I am more bothered about what? Here. Again, can you know everything about Income Tax Act? Do we have that in our GS? No. Right? So please remember, this is again such technique where extreme could be used. Okay, now this is one such technique where I talk about remove one, get all. And there is a very, very common pattern which is followed in UPSC. What it does, it gives you 3 statements. Out of these 3 statements, you will have to just know that one statement is incorrect and you will get the answer. Isko dekho. India has joined the Mineral Security Partnership as a member. That means it is wanting some security with respect to what? Minerals. India is a resource-rich country in all the 30 critical minerals that have been identified. Is it possible? If we were rich with all the 30 minerals, why will we join some partnership for mineral security? Are these statements inclusive or exclusive statements? Exclusive, because if 1 is right, 2 is wrong. If 2 is right, 1 has to be wrong. Yes. So in this I can definitely say that 2 is incorrect. When I say 2 is incorrect, you see. So B is gone, D is gone, A is gone. What is remaining? C. And you will have to logically remember that, can any country be having all the resources? Shocking. Is it possible? Definitely not. And what is it telling? All 30 critical minerals. Then we should have never been dependent upon some country. And in fact, we should have been the superpower of semiconductors, electronics. Yes or no? We should have never had the concept of China phone. Yes or no? Obvious. Right? Next. Again, one such question where you will remove one, get all. India accounts for a very large portion of all equities. India's stock market has grown. I'm not sure, right? And I don't do trading. Okay, so I'm not very aware about what is Hong Kong market, what is trading. I don't know. I'm sorry. Now look at the third statement. There is no regulatory body either to warn the small investors about the risk of options trading or to act on unregistered financial advisors in this regard. Now, which country are we in?
Actually, right.
India. What is India?
It is
It is democracy. What is Article 38 saying of your constitution?
Yes.
Welfare state. What is the component of welfare state? It is to protect somebody. Now, what are they telling here? No regulatory, no protection. You do whatever you want. Is it possible? Definitely no. Definitely no. Okay, you're not satisfied. What is SEBI doing? What is SEBI doing? Controlling. Right? You would have heard about something called as horse trading. Price sensitive information. What happened with Adani? Yes. So automatically what third statement is incorrect? You remove third. I don't even have to know anything about first two statements. All that you were supposed to have in this question was little patience. That mauka milega. I am going to have some opportunity, let me wait. What happens as soon as people start reading equity, contract, great boom, they feel the boom. And akkadike ayipoddi. It is like, this is not my question. I did not read anything about this. Right there, if you want, you will also write next to it, sir, out of syllabus. And you come to second question, you will see India's stock market has grown rapidly. Hong Kong. And if you are a cricket lover, you only know Hong Kong sixes. And there is also Bhataru Potar. That is what is happening in Hong Kong sixes. Cricket match, short format. Now, what do you know about Hong Kong? Your stock market? Nothing. Now, you fundamentally have to understand here again, UPSC would only want you to know what you're supposed to know, not everything. Right? This is another such question. Similar pattern question. This is one such technique where we use. Now, when you look at the similar pattern question, circular economy reduces the emissions of greenhouse gases. Is there anything complex in this statement? What is circular economy? Some input, some output, again back to input. Waste to wealth, waste to energy. Suna hoga, bahut chal raha hai aajkal. It reduces. It is telling it completely eliminates.
Yes, no.
Or what is it telling? Reduces. Why are you bothered about how much proportion it is reducing? Don't you think if it is reducing even 0.1% it is reducing? Yes, this is correct. Circular economy reduces the use of raw material as inputs. Why? I am using some output as or waste as input. Correct. Circular economy reduces wastage in the production process. Obvious. Yes or no? As it is reducing, how are you reducing the wastage? Because you are using it as inputs. How are you reducing the greenhouse gases? Because you are using waste as inputs. Now, do you need to do research in circular economy in this question? No. And what is happening? You observe reduces, reduces, reduces. And you find this pattern to be existing. Now, all of you are looking at me. Dave, what are you teaching? And everybody is like, how this can happen? But you please understand, my dear, this is how prelims is. I am telling this is the only way. This is a way which has to be followed to definitely clear prelims examination. No, sir, I will do research in circular economy. I will read a Niti Ayog report on circular economy. Do PhD. Become circular. Who's stopping? Nobody is stopping you here, my dear. Right? But to clear prelims, with experience, I'm telling you, to clear prelims, this is the way you have to approximate. I am not going to have something very specific there. Take it. Isko dekho ek baar. Capital receipts create a liability or cause a reduction in the assets. right, are assets of the government. Borrowings and disinvestments are capital receipts. Interest received on loans creates liability, or interest paid creates liability? What is liability? It's a burden on you. Right? When is it a burden on you? When you borrow some 100 rupees from somebody, and when you have to pay back, it is a burden. But you have lent 100 rupees and you're enjoying the interest on it. Is it a burden or is it an asset to you? Asset. What is this fellow telling? Yes. You remove third statement. Why are you struggling? That is why I keep telling UPSC is not mother-in-law. It is as kind as mother. And all of you will consider UPSC to be what? Mother-in-law. Third statement పోయిందంటే ఏదో ఉంది. ఏదో ఉంది. It cannot be so simple. And all of you are skeptical. UPSC means it is not simple. It is simple. All that you were supposed to know was what? One. All that you were supposed to understand was what? What happens with you on Saturday or Sunday, lunch. You don't have 100 rupees. What do? You borrow. Your friend doesn't have. You lend. When is it a burden? When you are borrowing. Do you need to understand RBI function? Do you need to be the governor of RBI? नहीं चाहिए. Please understand, my dear. Please understand. UPSC prelims examination is easy provided you make it easy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy question. ठीक है? He possessed great love and respect for the traditional philosophical. Who was Raja Ram Mohan Roy? అంటుంటారు కదా మీ ఫ్రెండ్స్, వీడు పెద్ద రాజారాం మోహన్ రాయ్ సంఘ సంస్కర్త అంటుంటారు. కామన్ పార్లెన్స్. నేను మీ అంత చదువుకోలేదమ్మా. రైట్? All that I know is how to use these techniques. Freedom fighter. Freedom fighter means something regarding nation he would have definitely valued and revered. Itna to pakka. He possessed great love and respect for the traditional philosophical systems of the East. Yes. West is English. East, somewhere. He desired his countrymen to accept the rational and scientific approach and the principle of human dignity and social equality of all men and women. Sir, we don't know, sir. I never read this statement, sir. But did you read fundamental duties, sir? Constitution. Article 51, capital A, did you read? Did you come across in that rationality, scientific temper, respecting women, human dignity? If that is there in Constitution, don't you think Raja Mohan Roy also would have believed that? Yes or no? Yes. Because all of these were who? Freedom fighters. They gave the philosophy of what is Constitution which is existing today. So automatically what? Both the statements are right. Because when I was telling you, both the statements are what? Positive. Both the statements are what? Patriotic in nature. So answer for this is what? C. Again a fantastic question. Right? I should tell you the logic behind this particular trick. Right? Now, when I was seeing this particular question, how many of the above are members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? Okay. I still remember this alignment in my question paper. If this is the question paper, this side this question was there. I think the next question was also having something very similar. Yes, this was the next question. Right? And the third question in that particular paper was that Lake Titicaca, something like three was there. Now here when you look at this particular question, now under exam pressure, you remembering about NATO. Right? How many of you remember normally who are the members of NATO? In general, did you buy hat? Yes, no? Yes or no? If you didn't buy hat, then you will not qualify prelims, no? That's our belief. But fantastic that you didn't buy hat. Now, what should be the logic here? If you wanted, you could have used some specific logic here. Otherwise, there is one option pattern which is followed by UPSC. When you look at this option pattern which is followed by UPSC, article you see very commonly that particular Kasama wala question, this particular question, the next Andes wala question. What do you see? Whenever you have more than 4 statements, whenever you have more than 4 statements, the logic and the technique which is seen is the answer is n minus 2 number of options are correct. Now, sir, how can you tell this, sir? Did you put in some real-time analysis, integration, differentiation? Pattern observation. Pattern observation. Sir, what is the genesis of elimination techniques? Pattern observation. Sir, can you give guarantee about elimination techniques? To a certain extent. Please understand, the logic behind elimination techniques is UPSC itself. You go back and refer from 2011 till 2025, these techniques have been followed. And you see, the technique here derived is what? If it is more than 4 statements, it is n minus 2. So how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 means more than 4 or not? Yes. So answer should be what? 6 minus 2. Answer should be 4. Right? Okay. So this is one question you remember. You apply the same technique to this. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Answer is what? N minus 2. Answer should be what? 4. Right? Okay. I'll prove something. Wait.
It's a house.
How many here? 5. 5 means more than 4? Yes? So 5 minus 2? 3. Answer is only 3 in this. Right? How many questions so far? 3 on 3. Fantastic. There is a question on time zones. There's one question on time zones. I think this. Yes. You apply the same technique here. How many? It is asking about which of the countries had UPI. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. N is what? Greater than 4. 5 minus 2, 3. How many questions? 4. 4 on 4. Fantastic. Right. Yes. No, apply this. How many?
I
5? Yes or no? 5. So n is greater than 4. 5 minus 2, how much? Answer is 4. I have specifically put this question. Now, why did I put this question? What should I prove to you by putting this question? I have solved n minus 2 logic in how many questions? 5 questions. How many did I get correct? How many did I lose? Okay.
just
If you were not using this logic, how many questions you would have lost? All 5. Gone. Now, how many I am getting in advance? 4 into 2 is how much? 8. I am losing how much? 0.66. So, 7.33 extra. So, what is the takeaway here? When I am teaching elimination techniques to you, be it now, be it as part of high impact revision for prelims examination 2026, the fundamental disclaimer is, if you are attempting 10 questions using elimination, I can give you a guarantee of 7 questions but never 10 questions. And where am I using elimination? I am using elimination where I don't know anything.
random.
I am using eliminations where it is random. I am using eliminations. Most of you will tell, no, if you have written the exam, you will come and tell, sir, 2 options I am eliminating, sir. But 2 options, sir. Somewhere the Saturn speed is very high, sir. And I am unable to manage, sir. I am somehow choosing the wrong option only, sir. My eye is straight going on to the wrong option. Sir, my Saturn speed is not good, sir. Not Saturn speed, sir. When you are left with 2 options, sir, the biggest advantage that you have is that is indicating that the next step that you are going to use there is elimination. So elimination is to write something which is unknown. Elimination is to tackle something which is random. Elimination is something to confirm your answer. And elimination is something where you are confused. It is going to give you the next step. Because I would tell, my proposition here is always that if you are not using elimination anyway, you are going to lose some marks. Why don't you lose the marks by using elimination? And I can tell you, you can definitely get 70% accuracy by using eliminations. Wherever it is supposed to be used. I am not replacing static content again. Case in point, I am telling you here. I have shown you an example that where I have attempted 5 questions using n minus 2, I got 4 right, 1 wrong. Chalega. Because all those 5 questions, did you know? No. Extremely factual. Yes. You could use some logic and get, even if you use some logic and get, you would be stuck with 2 options. And there also you are supposed to use this technique. I think this made it a clear picture of what is elimination, where is elimination, how is elimination, and when is elimination. And that is extremely important when it comes to using these particular techniques. Right? I'll show you some more techniques. Where did we stop that? Rajaram Mohan, yes. Now come to this particular question. Consider the following statements about turmeric during year 2022-2023. The reason for this question was what? National Turmeric Board. Nizamabad. Yes. The new board which was established. On that basis, they have given. India is the largest producer and exporter of turmeric in the world. Should you know? Look at the frequent nature of usage of turmeric. You use it in kitchen. You use it as part of religion. You use it when you have some wounds. Now, when we have so much of surplus, we are automatically what? Producer that is there. And more than 30 varieties of turmeric are grown in India. Now, is this the statement of a specific nature or is it a statement of approximation? What are they telling? More than 30. More than 30 can be 31, can be 50, can be 100, doesn't matter. Are they telling only 30? No. More than, approximate. So definitely, second statement is also right. Maharashtra, Telangana, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are the major. Are they telling only turmeric producing states or major? Major. Are they telling highest? No. Is there any superlative which is used? No. Is there any specific fact which is put? No. Is it a statement which is approximate or is it a statement which is exact? Approximate. And what is our rule? Any approximate statement is a right statement. Yeah. Did you do research on turmeric to answer this question? Now, what does this mean? This fundamentally means static part you are getting, conceptual understanding, supporting knowledge, elimination is supporting that particular static. And that is where you are going to sail through when it comes to prelims. Now again, this is some interesting question. The amount of dust particles in the atmosphere is more in subtropical and temperate areas than in equatorial and polar region. Okay. Subtropical and temperate areas have less dry winds. Now what is happening here? Now please understand. If it is having less dry winds, will we have more dust particles? Where will we have more dust particles? Wherever we have weak dry winds or strong dry winds? Strong dry winds. So if one statement is right, other statement is wrong. If other statement is wrong, one statement is right. So at least by this basic logic of mutual exclusivity, both of these statements are exclusive. I can arrive at the option of what? Either C or D. Now here again you start saying, no sir, I want to understand the characteristic features of temperate and subtropical. Still, what is the logic, my dear? Where do you have maximum deserts concentrated? Subtropical cloudlessness condition. And because of this cloudlessness condition, higher insulation, minimum moisture, maximum deserts. Automatically, wherever you have deserts, will you have less dry winds or more dry winds? More dry winds. Are you understanding, my dear? Again, right? Now, this is the context of mutual exclusivity. Now, again, look at this particular statement. In the context of effect of water on rocks, chalk is known as a very permeable rock, whereas clay is known as quite an impermeable or less permeable. Chalk is porous and hence can absorb water, right? Clay is ఎట్లా చెప్పగలవు నువ్వు అసలు మనం ఎవరు చెప్పడానికి రైట్ What is it saying? Clay is not at all porous. How do you know? You tell. Extreme. What is it saying? అస్సలు ఉన్న బంకమట్టి క్లే అది పోరసే కాదు. Even if it is 0.001% porous, is it porous? Yes. What is it telling? 0%. Can something be so extreme in this world?
What?
That is why I say what? It is always approximation, it is always average, which has to be considered. So you eliminate third statement. What is happening? Both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct. No. Both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct. You're not correct. Only one of the statement 2 and statement 3 is correct, and that explains statement 1. Because I know chalk is porous and hence can absorb. Now here, if you don't want to talk about this particular concept, I'll immediately say the can logic. What is can logic? Can logic, what are they telling? Chalk is porous and hence will absorb water or can absorb? Can means what? Approximate. Can means what? Potential. Can means what? Probable. Is it telling exactly? No. It can absorb. Let it absorb. Please understand this again. I can read your faces. Sir, are you an English teacher or GS teacher?
Right.
But to understand elimination techniques, UPSC is playing on the words. It is just mere word play. And I am teaching you in this particular session. Ensure that you go immediately after the session and try putting all of this logic into some of the other papers. You would definitely see that you would have 70% accuracy at any cost. At any cost, I can give you guarantee on that particular dimension. 70% accuracy. That means if you are attempting 10 questions using these tricks, you can definitely get 7 questions. And I am not just telling you the trick, but I am also telling you what is the logic behind it. And understanding that logic is very important in such questions. Otherwise, what happens? Unless and until your geography optional people also have made this question wrong. And what is approximate? What is this elimination technique doing? The elimination technique is increasing the probability of making it correct, right? Look at this question again. Now there is always questions on international organizations. Now please remember these 3 fundas for these international organizations and you can solve. Most of the international organizations will have a non-binding declaration. That's one. The second thing that you need to understand with respect to international organizations, not only non-binding, but you also see most of them will not have financing powers. And very commonly what UPSC does is UPSC says that this international organization is an agency of UN. How many organizations are agencies of UN? 6. Rest others are not. Otherwise you have a concept called a specialized agency. That's a different phenomenon altogether. UPSC plays on these 3 dimensions. Now isko dekho. You will directly go to second statement. The COP28 declaration on climate and health is binding declaration. Nothing is so binding. What is my logic? Most of my international organizations are what? They are non-binding. They would have some element of flexibility in its implementation. You eliminate second statement and automatically what happens? First, these 2 are gone because both are not correct. And you're only left with what? Only one of it is correct. Why look at the third statement? If India's health sector is decarbonized, the resilience of its healthcare system may be compromised. Yes. Sustainability comes at a cost. Are you understanding this logic again? Answering such questions will only be possible if you have such understanding. Again here, look at this question. Common terms from the question. Nature-based solution hub for Asia and Pacific. So definitely what? Answer also should have something related to Asia. So it is neither C, it is neither D. And what is it telling? Asia and Pacific. Yes. Now what is AIIB? Majorly related to China. Will China have any kind of extended engagements with Pacific? No. Because that Asia Pacific, Indo-Pacific region will also include what? US. US and China, are they good friends? Yeah, ma?
Answer.
No. What is the answer? Now, expecting this to be by-hearted, expecting this to be remembered again, you're going to fail. And how am I playing upon? I'm playing upon my common terms. That's existing. Now, UPSC could have given something else also, no? Why is it giving you? Why is it telling? You would have stopped saying that Nature Solution Finance Hub. You would have just stopped this. I would have asked you a question also. Then the question would have become difficult, but now how is it easy? It is extended to Asia and Pacific. It is telling, Are Babu, it is in Asia. So something related to Asia should be there in that particular answer. Right? Last 5 more minutes, I would quickly wrap up because I'll have to tell you this can logic here. Now look at this can logic. Very, very strong logic. Why is it a very, very strong logic here? Again, that would give you something to be approximate, something to be probable, something to be progressive, something to be possible. And whenever all of these characteristic features are there, automatically what happens? The statement happens to be a correct statement. Just see that. With reference to the direct air capture and emerging technology, which of the following statements are correct? Direct air capture. It can be used as a way of carbon sequestration. What is it telling? You want, you use. You can use. Nobody is forcing you to use. Is it telling it should be? No. It will be? It must? No, it can. Approximation, probability. Now, if I come and tell you, I keep telling this example, I can grow plants on this cap. Possible? Possible. No, some people are looking, hey, grow, show me. Right? Anta jadu unte baane undadu yaar. I can. Maybe. Because you always remember, technology has a lot of potential. Did you ever imagine artificial intelligence 10 years back? No. Today? Yes. Yes or no? Yes. It can be a valuable approach for in aviation, it can be a source of carbon for combining with hydrogen to create synthetic low carbon fuel. Again, what is happening? Probability, potentiality. Now, I'll come to a reverse engineering method. You're not using anything of this. Do you know what is direct air capture? Tell sir. Tell it. More what only?
This brings us like 20.
నా పాయింట్ ఏంటంటే ఎనీవే యూఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు లీవ్ ద క్వశ్చన్ లీవ్ ఇట్ విత్ ట్రైయింగ్ అండ్ ఐఎమ్ గివింగ్ యూ గ్యారంటీ దట్ ఇఫ్ యూఆర్ ట్రైయింగ్ ఇట్ యూ విల్ గెట్ 70% గ్యారంటీ. That means if you're trying it in the manner that I'm teaching you for 10 questions, you can get 7 questions right. So, are you understanding? ఎలాగో వదిలేది కొంచెం ప్రయత్నించి వదలదు. That is what I'm telling. Because will you ever dream that this is going to be coming into the exam? No. I'll show you a number of such questions where you see this can logic is. Yes, I'll come to this question a little later. Again, you look at this. Which of the following types of vehicles, how many of the above are considered as alternative powertrain vehicles? What is powertrain vehicles? ఏం తెలియదు. ఒకటి తెలిసి ఏంది పవర్ అంటే ఏంది ఎనర్జీ అంతేనా? అవునా? ఈ సంబడి టెల్లింగ్ యూ నో ఇట్ ఈస్ జూల్స్ అంత తెలియదు నాకు. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎనర్జీ. బ్యాటరీ ఎనర్జీ. ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? ఎస్. ఫ్యూయల్ సెల్ ఎనర్జీ. ఎస్. ఫ్యూయల్ సెల్ హైబ్రిడ్ అయితే ఏంటి, ఇండివిజువల్ అయితే ఏంటి? ఫ్యూయల్ బ్యాటరీ. నాకు అసలే డెలికేట్ మైండ్, కష్టమే. But what do you people do?
Memory.
Power train.
Junior.
Train of power. ఏమొస్తుంది నీకు నాకు చెప్పు. We are not going to get anything in this, my dear. Because all of our knowledge base is very limited. We know. Accept it. I understand most of us would have studied for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, 25 hours per day. And you are not ready to accept the fact that I'm telling you. And what is the confidence behind telling all of this? Consistently clearing prelims. And what is the confidence behind this? Consistently making people clear prelims. And if you have to clear prelims, this is the way that you do it. Otherwise, you will have to struggle running behind the sources. Run behind the knowledge. Again, I'll show you some more. Again, approximate, you see. 5 minutes. Okay. Right? Sir's tricks will be even more. Because sir will have his own way of solving and he'll make Seesat is like, Seesat. You see that it will be there. Right? So, UAV consider the following statements. UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. That's all I know. Okay, unmanned. I will not even look, my dear. All, none.
Sir.
I'm not looking.
Sir.
People like you, sir. UAV, sir. Sit on it, sir. What is the logic? They're telling all types of UAVs can do vertical landing. All types. Can there be some exception to this? Yes. All types of UAVs can do automated hovering. All types of UAVs can use battery only as a source of power supply. Why are you making it blanket? I can see UAVs which are landing horizontally, which are landing vertically, which are manual, which are automated, which are operated. So many varieties. And in so much of variety that is existing with UAVs, can I give a blanket statement? All? No. Automatically answer is what? None. Again it is extreme. I'll show you one more. Where is that? You see? You see this? No. Again, what are they telling? No virus can survive. No virus can infect. No virus can change. Negatives. How do you know? There could be somewhere in some corner of some Atlantic Ocean, some virus is there which is affecting also. Do you know? What are we studying, my dear? Specific studies or general studies? General studies. General studies is never behind perfection. And always remember there are exceptions like this which are existing. Are you understanding this? And I have given you a sheet. If you observe, last table of this particular sheet is some analysis that you need to remember. You look at that particular sheet. 2025, whatever I have done is on a lower limit. Okay? You could happily solve in front of you only, this is around 46 slides. 46 slides, which technically means 46 questions. But on a lower end, if you still ask me, you can solve 37 questions using eliminations. Right? What does that mean? Does that mean you don't need static? You need static. In UAV, was I randomly guessing it or I knew what was UAV? I knew what was UAV. Here, was I randomly guessing about virus or do I know about virus? I know about virus. So that means there is some static basis which is existing, and 37 questions means how much? Say you are solving approximate easy calculations, 40 questions. I have given you 70% accuracy, which fundamentally means 28 questions right and 12 questions wrong. 28 questions right means how much? 56. 12 questions wrong means 8 marks. So what is your net? 48. Extra 48. How many marks of PYQs? 28 questions of PYQs. 28 questions, say approximately 30 I'm saying. 30 questions, again I'm telling 10% error because they are PYQs. That means how many questions are right? 27 are right, 3 are wrong. What is net? 26 are right. 26 into 2 is how much? 52 plus 48, how much it is? The magical figure. Are you understanding? And one more thing that you need to remember, if you go through the PDF or if you go through this particular sheet, every subject has some set of generalizations, which is what we would be discussing as part of high impact revision for prelims 2026. We would have some set of generalizations which are to be used whenever we are solving some questions. If I have to tell you one simple generalization of polity, if you see some question like this particular term is defined. What is the generalization? Nothing is defined in Indian Constitution. You can go and cross check. Is it mentioned? Yes. Is it classified? No. Is it defined? No. Are you understanding why already Constitution has 300 plus articles? It is extremely voluminous. And the logic behind the statement that this is not defined in Constitution, it means it is very difficult for you to define something in Constitution because it is getting voluminous. So you would have some bunch of generalizations. If I have to tell you one generalization for geography, you generally solve geography questions using on the basis of etymology. And when I say etymology, in geography, everything is solved on the basis of naming of the concept. So you have to understand elimination is not the only mechanism. Elimination is a supporting mechanism. What is a strong layer that you need to have to apply this? Static. Clear understanding of PYQs, clear observation of pattern, clear understanding of generalization. All of this will give you something called as elimination. Are you understanding this? Right? And I have prepared around 50 topics which are constantly repeated on prelims examination. Right? I have given a list where you can happily have a basic reading of that before you come for high impact revision 2026. That particular list is available in this particular Telegram channel. This is my Telegram channel. You can type it in the caps, mastering answer, right? In that you would have a profile of MAA, Mastering Art of Answer Writing by Gautam sir, right? So there you would have a list which is pinned for every subject. I have shortlisted 10 topics where you can read some basic dimensions and you would constantly see questions being repeated from those topics that you can pick up from that particular Telegram channel, right? So that is it from my side for today, right? I would request Surya Teja sir to come and talk to you on Seesat.
Okay. Obviously. Okay, I start the one. Prelims. It's good, but it I can so you talk about this. Why did as weird and very looking at so that's whereas we try it on. We have it. Type I should but I don't know how there's two I think it's just getting better.
Hello everyone. Not audible?
These are setting which
Am I audible now? Am I audible? Am I audible now? Hello everyone. Who am I? Do you know me? Some of you know me. My name is Surya Teja and I cleared forest exam with a rank of 66 in 2022 and I cleared civil services with a rank of 799 in 2024. That's the recent one. And my educational background is I am an engineer. a computer science engineer, and I've also done MBA. The reason I'm saying I'm talking about my education qualification is where is the slide second? Here it is.
I think I'll rush it. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting
Yes. So I have cleared these exams. Then when I was writing CAT, I also took these exams. Then obviously I've taken Seesat also. And I was fortunate to clear all these exams. Okay. Why is this relevant for Seesat? It is because all these exams share a similar pattern, which is some of the questions in Seesat match the pattern of these exams. For instance, in CAT, you also have numerical questions and comprehension-based questions. Now, when I was talking to a student a couple of weeks ago, she was saying, you can clear Seesat because you have the experience of clearing CAT. And you're also an engineer. So you are obviously good with numerical kind of questions. Is that true?
yes.
Yes. I hear yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's see how many of you think that. How many of you think that only engineers or someone with a mathematical background can clear Seesat and for the rest it is difficult? How many of you think like that? See, where did all the yeses go? Huh? See. Okay, let's. Have you listened to this? The conversation of the honorable chairperson of UPSC. Yes. Did he talk about Seesat? What did he say?
Only one section is coming.
Yeah, only one section is enough. Good. He said, engineers do not have any advantage in Seesat because there are 3 sections. One is the quant section, the reasoning, and comprehension. So if you can manage to get any of these sections right, you can easily clear the barrier of 33%. Do you know what is the cutoff for Seesat? 66 marks. How many questions are there?
Okay, great.
100 girl. Okay, you know. How many marks?
What's about that?
200 totally. Marks per question. And what is the negative scoring? 1/3. That is 2.5 by 3. That is 0.83. Okay, so using this, tell me how many questions do you need to get right to clear the barrier of 66? Approximately 20, 26 or 27. Okay. Now out of 80 questions, you have 3 sections. That means all of them will have approximately 27 questions per section, right? Can you manage 27 questions from one section? Even if, whatever your background is, irrespective of your background, you can easily manage one section fully?
Sure.
You cannot. Why do you think you cannot? You can manage one section completely and easily clear the barrier of 66. Yes, it does feel difficult, but let me quickly summarize what Gautam sir just said. He said, UPSC exam, civils, prelims exam or mains or even the interview stage, none of them are meant to put the level of the exam at a very high level. In fact, it is always manageable. Every component of the exam is manageable. Then why does every candidate not become an officer? It's because we cannot manage our emotions in the exam hall, or we do not have enough practice, or like Gautam sir just said, we do not believe in the process. We just do not believe, right? Now Gautam sir were talking about many techniques. Similarly, we'll be talking about a few techniques in Seesat as well. But you need to be confident about these techniques You should practice these techniques in the mock test and also employ these techniques in the actual exam with confidence. That is when you will be able to clear the exam. And trust me, all these techniques, all these tools that you'll be using, they're not any rocket science. They're simple common sense. In fact, almost a couple of years ago, Gautam and I were debating, and the market calls all these techniques as tricks, right? They make it sound like it is some magic. But it's not magic, it's simply common sense. I'll show you how common sense is useful to answer questions in Seesat as well, just like how it was useful in general studies. But before we do that, I just want you to, so far, when ma'am were talking or when Gautam sir were talking, you have always looked at it as a candidate, from the candidate's perspective, right? Now put yourself in the shoes of the UPSC. Okay, you are the examiner, you have 10 lakh applications, and you have to select 1,000 people out of these 10 lakh applicants for 1,000 vacancies. How would you do that? How would you design an exam for 10 lakh applicants? Right? What would anyone do is, first you would try to eliminate a majority of these 10 lakh people. Correct? And then you would put them to the exam of mains, where you are actually testing knowledge. In fact, for the economic service and statistical service, there are very few applicants, which is why there is no prelims here. You can directly sit for mains. But somehow, civil services, that's not the case with civil services, because the society knows IAS more than IES or ISS, which is why there is a huge demand for the civil services exam, and hence more applicants, and hence there is a need to eliminate a few of the applicants. And again, to summarize what the last 1 hour was, Gautam sir effectively said, you eliminate the options, otherwise you will get eliminated. Right? Because the exam is designed to eliminate those people who cannot eliminate options, who cannot eliminate irrelevant statements, extreme statements, or statements that do not fit well with common sense. Okay? So you need to master the art of eliminating. But again, eliminating is something that comes after you have basic knowledge. It's not like you do not know the alphabet and you are directly sitting in the exam. You need to have a certain amount of basics, and after that, you can sit in the exam and use all these elimination techniques. Okay, so let's see how these elimination techniques work for Seesat. Okay, before you solve this question, what I did was I made this slide deck like 5 to 6 days ago, and I have this beautiful ability of forgetting everything. I do not remember what questions I put, and obviously I do not remember the answers also. So what we'll do is, we'll try to solve these questions together, and we'll see how many questions we can do in a very short span of time. Okay? And if you notice, we started with, what is the question number here? 80. So what does that say? Never start the question with the paper with your first question. Always try to look for questions that are comfortable for you, solve those questions, and get the marks that are needed. Why? Because every question gives you how many marks? 2.5 in the case of Seesat and 2 in the case of GS. So treat all of them equally. Article 14 applies for all these questions also. Okay, treat all of them equally and find those questions that are easy for you. And like the chairman of UPSC said, you just have to master one section. So find those questions that are easy, that are manageable, that can be done within a span of 2 hours. Okay. Now let's solve this question. Quickly go through the question, because I'm also going through the question. The difference between any two natural numbers is 10. What can be said about the natural numbers which are divisible by 5 and lie between these two numbers? Now, try to recall all the GS techniques. Do you see any extreme words here? And something that indicates possibility and probability, like Gautam was saying. Can means probability. Okay. And again, this is an extreme word. So I can directly go with C. But even if I were to use logic here, see, he's saying the difference between two natural numbers is 10. All I can do is I can substitute values, right? I can always substitute values for questions like this. So I'll take two numbers, 5 and 15. The difference here is 10. Similarly, I'll take 9 and 19. The difference here is 10. How many numbers between 5 and 15 are there which are divisible by 5?
10.
Only 10 is there. Between 5 and 15, there is only 10 which is divisible by 5. So there is one such number. Between 9 and 19, how many such numbers are there? 2. What are they? 10 and 15. Correct? So there can be more than one such number, which means the answer here is C. Okay?
It should have.
Now here, again, always use logic. Put logic over all the other techniques. Okay, here, the common logic, in fact, something that all of us have studied in 10th class or even before that is, whenever this condition is given, the sum of two numbers being a certain number, here p plus q equal to 10, and the maximum value of p multiplied by q, what is the condition for that? P and q should be equal. In fact, we discussed this in our HIR classes also. Some of you who have been a part of HIR know how this statement is valid mathematically. Okay? Even if you were to make multiple cases of the possible values of P and Q and check the values of P multiplied by Q, you will notice that the maximum values always occur when P and Q are equal. Okay? So this is one trick that we noted down in the HIR classes. So whenever something like this occurs, P and Q must always be equal. Now, maximum value of PQ is when P equal to Q. Now, does it matter what the range of P and Q is? It doesn't matter, right? P and Q must always be equal. I don't care if it is a negative value or a positive value. P and Q must always be equal. And since P plus Q is 10, P and Q must be 5. And the maximum value of PQ would be 25 always. This is a universal condition, right? So we don't look at what the range of P and Q is. It could be a positive integer or a negative integer. In any case, P and Q must be equal, and that is the logic that we already know, which means the value of 1 and value 2 both must be equal, right? So you're using something that you've derived. So how did we get this P equal to Q condition? This was a PYQ. We used a PYQ and we said that whenever P plus Q equal to a certain number, the maximum value of PQ will be when P equal to Q. And using that knowledge, we are saying that I don't care about the range. I only know that the maximum value will be PQ will be equal to P square or Q square. Okay, so this is the logic that we had derived in our HIR classes, and that's what will be useful in arriving at an answer. Okay, here, now read this question. He's saying if no is coded as 210, not is coded as 4200, node is 21,000, then how is nodes coded? Correct? So, we have done this in our HIR classes again, in which we remember the digits for all the letters of the alphabet. Okay? And if you notice, N and O are nothing but 14 and 15, correct? And 14 multiplied by 15 is 210. Similarly, for T it is 20 and 210 multiplied by 20 is 4200, correct? Are you following this? Okay. Or do you think Seesat is not that important? You can safely skip it. You're already done after Gautam was done. See, Seesat cannot be skipped. The reason being increasing toughness of Seesat every year. If you notice, 2020 perhaps was the last paper which was the easiest. You did not have to do anything. You simply had to go and sit in the exam and you could easily clear it. But unfortunately or fortunately, from 21 onwards, the paper was on the tougher side. Why was it tough? It was tough not because it had some complex math, but it was tough only because it tried to intimidate you using questions like this, where questions did not look straightforward, but if you were calm enough, the questions are actually straightforward. Okay? So, here each letter is assigned a number and you're simply multiplying all those numbers. Similarly, here E stands for 5 and 4200 multiplied by 5 would be 21,000. Now, what is S? S is what? It precedes T, so it should be 90, which means to get the code for nodes, I simply have to multiply this with 90. Here, should I multiply the entire number with 90? If I were to do that, I would say 900 and so on, right? Instead, I know that, forget about the zeros, 21 into 19 should end in what digit?
9.
It should end in 9, no? What about the options? There's only A in which there is a 9. In fact, the other options do not have a 9 at all. So I do not have to multiply it completely. I can straightly go for A. So digit method is something that is very useful when you have options. We see that UPSC has placed options in such a manner where if you are smart enough to notice a digit, you can directly go for the answer. Right? So here, using the digit method would have been a technique that would have given you the answer very quickly. Now here I want you to believe me, just like Gautam sir was urging you to believe him, because there are some techniques which feel not so smart, not so sophisticated, right? But these techniques are applicable not just in civil services prelims, but in other exams that are conducted by UPSC, including CAPF, all the other exams, CDS, geoscientist, right? In fact, in general studies, civil services prelims is somewhat unique. The closest exam to civil services prelims would be CAPF. But with Seesat, you pick any question paper that is set by UPSC which has a quant component, then you can easily find patterns for civil services Seesat also. Okay? And in fact, these questions, all of these are 20-25 questions, by the way. All of them are picked from the 2025 paper. And if you notice, all these questions were asked either in civil services Seesat earlier or other exams of UPSC. Okay? And here, this pattern, I want you to notice the options. Okay? Now see that this is a completely different option. There is no similarity between A and other options. Correct? But notice B, C and D. B and C are similar. Take a pair of two options. B and C are similar. C and D are similar. Similarly, B and D would also be similar. Now notice that B and C end in 1913. Okay, the only difference is the first number. Similarly, C and D, the only difference is 8, which means the option which has most commonality between all the three options is C. In fact, if C is the answer, what he did was he changed one digit to make B option. He changed another digit to make D option. And the digit that he changed also, from 7 it became 8, from 9 it became 8. Even the examiner is lazy like us. He doesn't want to put much effort into making options also, which is why you can notice that the change that is, in fact, very similar. 7 to 8, 9 to 8. So here the answer should be C. Or even if you were to use logic, in fact, it's a very straightforward question. You know that each letter is corresponding to a digit, and you just have to find YEMEN in these words and find the digits for that. So here, if E and E are there, which means the second and fourth numbers should be same, and it is ending in N, and in Germany you have N, which is 3. So 3 must be the last one. All you have to do is find the first and third, and the first is Y, which means it should be 7. So the answer should be between C and D. And what is the third one? M. Where do I have M? Here. 4 from the last, 8. So, okay, option D was the answer. Okay. So, you can notice the similarities between options and arrive at an answer. Similarly, there is another question in 2025 where you have option similarities. Which two options are similar here in this question?
30. B and C.
B and C are similar?
Yeah.
And A and D are similar. Okay. So, what I can do is I'll simply use either of them, A and D or B and C, and try to put these symbols. In fact, he has given us symbols that should fit this mathematical equation. So, I'll use one of these since the first two are same in B and C and A and D separately. So, I'll use one of them. Let's use SLP, which means 60 divided, and what does P stand for? Plus. Okay. Now, I'll try to use these two and see if the other two would fit. 60 divided by 15 becomes what? 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. And here I don't know what I have. And this. Correct? Right? This is one. Now I'll try to look at the other two options also. Before going into the last two blanks, I will try to explore the other two options. Q, R, P and S. 60 minus 15, 3. What does this become? 15 multiplied by 3. Why are we multiplying first? Body mass, right? So we do multiplication first. So this becomes 45. 60 minus 45 is 15. Now, what are the other two that are left in the first case? R and Q, that is, there is a minus and a product that is left. Here, what are the other two that are left? P and S, that is plus and. Okay. Now, in the first case, in this case, now I have 4 plus 3, 7 on one side. Now, if I take 7 to the other side, I can take it only when I have a minus here, right? Right? If I had a multiplication there, 7 multiplied by 20 becomes what? 140, that becomes too large number. Okay? So, this must obviously be minus 4 plus 3, 7 minus 20, and this should be 4. 20 times 4 becomes 80. 4 plus 3, 7 minus 80 is a negative number, and on the right hand side you have 20. So you eliminate A and D, and now you're left with B and C. Now I have plus and divided. I'll randomly try these two, because I cannot try 15 divided by 20, right? We cannot divide 15 with 20 to get a 20 on the other side. You would get a fraction. So in fact, you don't even have to check the value. What you need is plus and a divided symbol. which means plus is for P, right? So the answer should be QR, P and S. The third one was plus, which is for P, which means you have QR, PS. So here you had to do some extra work, but the starting idea came from option similarity. You have two options which are similar. Out of them, the first two operations are same, which is why you use these two operations to get the first idea to solve the problem. Okay. Now this is a wonderful set of questions. In fact, the 2025 paper had so many questions. I was at the main center this year, and one of the students was talking about how these magic numbers were repeated in the Seesat paper. Okay, and these magic numbers were discussed in the HIR class. Some of you who have attended HIR would know about this. So this is one such magic number. We talked about the magic number of 111. That is equal to 3 times 37. Okay, do you see options? Any of them? 37 is there in the options. So I would have straightly gone for 37. But anyway, let's read the question. QQQ is one number, which is a 3-digit number. What is the HCF of P and 481? I can just give value for QQQ. Q equal to 1 would make it 111. And 111 is nothing but 3 times 37. Now is 481 divisible by 3?
Yes.
What is the divisibility test for 3? Sum of digits must be divisible by 3. 4 plus 8 plus 1 is 13. 13 is not divisible by 3, which means 481 is not divisible by 3. But is it divisible by 37? What is the divisibility test for 37?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Even I don't know. It doesn't make sense to remember divisibility test for 37. Okay? But you can safely guess that 37 would divide 481. Otherwise, there is no other number which is dividing 111, right? Correct? So, 37 divides 481, which means the highest common factor should be 37. Okay? Why is it not 481?
Please.
Because you already have 111, which is not divisible by 481. Highest common factor means that number should divide both these numbers. But 481 cannot be a number that divides 111, which means your answer should be 37. Correct? Are you following it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because maybe some of you have lost touch with all the numerical components of the exam. But anyway, we solved this in the classes, and I've also ensured that questions on these kinds of numbers are included in the free exams that we are conducting starting tomorrow. I have personally sat with the exam, the paper setter, and I ensured that these questions are a part of the test. So I urge you to go through the test, solve it like a real exam. Do not feel underconfident because you're very far from the actual exam, but take it as an opportunity to analyze and assess your preparation standards for the exam pattern. And we've ensured that all these tests they match with the actual exam pattern. Okay. So this is one magic number, 111. Students of HIR, do you remember other magic numbers? Do you remember this magic number? These are special numbers which are used to set questions by UPSC, and these numbers are used not just in civil services, but all the other exams conducted by UPSC. In fact, even other papers like CAT or SSC CGL also use these numbers because these are unique numbers in mathematics which have a certain set of properties. Okay. Here, okay, let's read the question. N sets of numbers each having 3 positive integers with LCM equal to 1001 and HCF is 1. What is 1001? What is the prime factorization for this? Nobody remembers this? Is it divisible by 3? It is not. Okay, let's check for the next prime. 5, no. 7, yes. 7 times. 7 times what? 7 times. 7 ones are 7. You're left with the 3, 3 0. 7 fours are 28. You're left with the 2 and 7 threes are 21. This can be broken down as 11 into 30. Correct? So these are the factors of 1001. Now he's asking you for the sets of natural numbers. I do not want to go into that because that involves the usage of combinations and listing down the combinations. I do not want to bore you with that listing down of possibilities. But anyway, notice that 1001 is a number that is used frequently by UPSC to set questions. Okay, here the answer, if I remember correctly, should be more than 8. Let me check. Yes, the answer is D. You just have to list down multiple combinations of 7, 11 and 13 where the HCF is 1 and obviously the LCM would be 1001 because you have 7, 11 and 13. 7 times 11 times 13 is 1001. Okay, this is another number that we talked about in the class. Do you remember what is a natural number? There's only one natural number whose factors, the sum of whose factors is equal to the number itself. Do you remember this number?
Yes.
6. Very good. Yes, 6 is that number where the number is equal to the sum of its factors. 6. What are the factors of 6? 1, 2 and 3. And the sum of 1, 2 and 3 is nothing but 6 itself. Which means you just have to find, he's asking for those numbers which are less than 50 and also have this property. They are nothing but the multiples of 6, that is 6, 12, 18 and so on up to 48. How many such numbers are there? 6 times 8 is 48, which means there are 8 numbers. So the answer should be 8. Do you notice how having a knowledge of these numbers is helping you solve this question in less than a minute? Otherwise, you would not have figured out what this property is, what number would have this property, and also is asking all the numbers below 50. 50 is not a small number. 50 is in fact a big number. So you cannot sit and check for all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and take every number, list on all the factors, check the sum of all the factors. You cannot do that in the exam scenario, which is why having a knowledge of these special numbers would be helpful in finding the answer. Okay, this again is a repetitive question. This was asked multiple times, and if the square of any number has that pattern, 1, 2, so on, increasing to a certain number and then decreasing, the middle number is the number of digits that number would have. Which means here if I have n, then the number n would be nothing but 9 ones. 9 ones squared would be that number. Okay, this is a repetitive pattern, and out of that we try to remember this particular result, and using that result you can directly go for the answer of 9. You don't have to check for various values. Here, if you notice, the difficulty of this question is at 2 levels. One is getting the idea that squares of numbers like these follow that pattern. You first have to figure out that only ones, numbers containing only ones would give you that pattern, and then notice that whatever the central digit is, that would be the number of ones in that digit. That is the second level of difficulty. Doing this in an exam scenario, under pressure, and also after finishing the GS paper, where your mind is thinking about the key of GS paper, not completely in Seesat, and you're also exhausted by the evening. In that case, you'll probably not be able to figure this out. So it makes sense to notice these repetitive patterns out of PYQs and develop results that can be used very quickly in the actual exam. Okay, again, this is the use of reminder tool. We have talked about reminders extensively in HR classes, and we've also used this tool for designing questions in various tests. I've also ensured that they're there in tomorrow's test as well. Okay, here, once you notice 5, and you also notice that all the other numbers are nothing but odd. Do you find any even number there? No, it is nothing but the product of all the odd numbers up to 999. So if you have odd numbers and if there is 5 in them, what would the units digit be? It would always be 5. You don't have to check or use any mathematical tool to get the answer for this question. The moment you notice 5 and odd numbers, we know that it is going to end in 5. Okay. Again here, quickly read the question, you'll get an idea. It's saying the price is first increased by k%, then decreased by k%, again increased by k%, again decreased by k%. Okay. And the new price is Q. He's asking the relationship between P and Q. Now, this is something that we've talked about where we try to ensure that these are equivalent on both sides. What do I mean by that? In fact, if you remember the questions that we talked in speed and distance or work and time, we ensured that the units of all the quantities that we're using would be same. It's not that we use meter per second on one and kilometer per hour on the other case. We ensure that we use the same units across the problem. Similarly, having the same powers on both sides of an equation is essential in a question like this. Because if you notice, you have a 10 power 8 here and 10 power 4 squared would give me a 10 power 8 on this side as well. But you look at the other options. Here I have a 10 power 8, but here I only have a 10 power 4. Similarly, here I have 10 power 4 and here I have 10 power 4, and then I have 10 power 4 here and I have 10 power 8, which means these two options cannot be the answer because there is no equivalence of parts. The parts are different on both sides, which is why we can straight away eliminate B and D. And since this is nothing but a percentage question, you can quickly sort to get the answer, and the answer here would be A. And even in the case of getting a wrong answer, the probability of getting the right answer has increased here, right? From 1 out of 4, you have moved to the possibility of 1 out of 2. Okay, so here using the equivalence would help you eliminate those options which are inconsistent with the powers. Okay. Now let's move to comprehension. We'll not solve too many questions here because more or less the questions would follow a similar pattern. Here, there is a passage before this question, and this is the question that followed that passage. I'll show you the passage, but before I show you the passage, recall all the techniques that Gautam sir had discussed and try to use those techniques on this question and see if you can get the answer. Do not read all the unnecessary English, just try to find those extreme words. What is the extreme word in the statement 1? Essentially, very good. Looks like all of you are clearing prelims 2026. Okay. What about the second option? Two diverse, very good. What about C? Yes. Ensure is extreme. Net zero was extreme given the context of the passage. But anyway, ensure is extreme. And responsibility only of the union government. Basically, the responsibility of the union government. This entire phrase is extreme, right? What about states? We are a federal polity, right? We cannot say that states are not responsible. And then, what about the last option?
Sure.
India needs to formulate effective mitigation and adaptation strategies at state and region level. That is moderate, it makes sense, and that is what we are aiming at doing in our country. Right? So the answer here should be D. Now, even if you were to read the passage, which is slightly longer, but even if you were to read, you will notice that he talked about mitigation, a balance between mitigation and adaptation at the regional level, that is at the state level. See, he has talked about each state. Did he talk about strategies anywhere? Yes, he's talked about different regions having different strategies. He's saying each state has a distinctive set, which means each state needs a unique strategy that is tailored according to that region. And what fits according to the fits with the passage, which option? That would be D. So here, even if you did not read the passage, you can easily arrive at the answer using all the other techniques that you've learned in GS. Let's do the same thing for this passage. Give me the extreme terms of all the options. What is the extreme in option A? Okay, leave option A. What about option B?
Right. Sure.
Okay, poverty is the primary reason? Perhaps not, because there are other reasons as well. Option C? Unmanageable crisis. If it is unmanageable, then it only makes sense for all of us to leave this country, right? But that's not what we're doing. We're trying to manage poverty and whatever insecurity there that arises out of poverty, right? So C is also eliminated. What about the last option? Insecurity more than poverty is the main economic issue. Now, between A and D, I do not find any extremities, but I just want to ensure that I use the passage to arrive at an answer. So, if you were to look at the passage, just read the first line of the passage.
Yes.
If the social inequality is the most acutely felt social problem in India, insecurity more than poverty. Insecurity more than poverty. So, do you find any similarities between option D and that first line? Yes. So, the answer should be D. Again, go through this question. Give me the extreme words or terms. There is no need. Okay. Similarly, second, no longer. Okay. Which means the answer is? Answer is? Neither one nor two. I don't even want to go through the passage. Again, yes, find the extreme words here. India does not have enough resources. That's not right. India cannot not have enough resources. That's an extreme. What about the second one? Should not be under central government. That doesn't make sense. What about C? Should be done away with. Okay, so what about D? Needs to be implemented. That's what we're trying to do with all the NEP 2020 and all the other policies that follow later. Right? So the answer should be D. Again, let's do the same thing here. What was that? What was Gautam sir saying? The words can. Right? It reminded me of a line from a Telugu film. But anyway, where do you find can?
That's just true.
What about the second statement? Anything extreme there? Right, so eliminate 2 and you are left with 1, which means the answer is? Good. Yes, again the same thing.
Thoughts on
Yes, not possible is an extreme.
states that's it. They have to be.
Second thing is immediately is an extreme. Very good. Do not say that every sector is extreme here, because yes, it is important that every sector goes green. Right? Given the present context of pollution and climate change, we want every sector to go green. But here, immediately would become the extreme one. Okay. What about option C?
Can.
Which means that is the possible answer. Let's go through D also. Only option. Right? So the answer is C. Now, I'll ask you the same question again. Do you think you can manage one section now?
Yes.
Yes. You can easily manage one section because these paper, the question is not designed to trouble you. In fact, you can manage all the questions, all the 80 questions. All you have to do is be prepared before the exam, and in the exam hall, be calm and cool, and that is enough for you to clear the barrier of 66. Okay, I think. Okay, this is the last question. Again, eliminate the extreme words and give me the answer.
Alright, good. Yes.
Without opposition, the administration in a democracy gets to become more responsible. Is that correct? No, we always want a good opposition. The second thing is, what is the extreme word in the second statement? What about the third statement? Political survival. Political survival is not dependent on having opposition. Even without opposition, you can have political survival. That's what we are witnessing in many states in our country. What about the last one?
It's a short example.
Yes, here there is no extreme. In fact, opposition is indispensable for the balance of power and governance. That is what we know based on our knowledge also. Right? Even if you were to read the passage, that's exactly what the passage would be talking about. In fact, the remaining reading comprehension questions in the 2025 paper were on similar lines. You can easily manage 27 reading comprehension questions. I think there were little lesser questions, 25 or 26. So all these questions could be managed very easily. Okay. So what you have to do is first get a clear understanding of all these techniques, both in GS and Seesat. Remember these techniques, practice these techniques in the mock test, and in the exam hall, believe in these techniques and confidently apply them so that you will clear the barrier of prelims. Again, you need to eliminate options, you need to make use of options, the statements, your prior knowledge, your experience, your education, everything that you know to get to the answer that is in fact present in the options that are staring at you. You have 4 options. The answer lies in those 4 options only. It's not like mains or interview where you can say anything and it can be completely wrong. Here you have 4 options. You pick one of them. It could be right also. So you just have to eliminate those options which do not look right and get to the right answer. So use these techniques, write the tests that are being conducted for tomorrow, and also we'll meet in HIR classes and we'll look at all these techniques in detail. We'll understand the logic behind it and the various use cases of these techniques. And before I conclude, I just want to say that all these techniques, whatever Gautam sir had discussed or whatever I have discussed, these are not techniques that are built just after looking at the questions that were asked in the exam. These are techniques that are relevant across the papers of UPSC papers from 2011 to 2025. We have arrived at these techniques based on experience. That is one thing. The second thing is also analyzing PYQs both from a candidate's perspective and also the examiner's perspective. So that is how we have arrived at these techniques. We have arrived at these techniques using that analysis. So you can believe in these techniques and be confident in using these techniques. Okay, and whenever the institute wants to give updates, they have created a Telegram channel, and this is the QR code for that. You can scan this QR code, and all the updates, all the PPTs that we just used, that will also be available on this channel, and you will get all the regular updates on this channel. Okay, you can scan the code right now, and you can join the channel. And did anyone write mails this year? Okay, there are a couple of people. Okay, so I hope that all of you become, again, like I keep saying this in my classes also, if I had the magical power, I would have made all of you officers overnight. But since I don't have that power, I can only offer you my knowledge that I have. And this is the knowledge that I had, which I offered in the last 45-50 minutes. Okay, and I hope that all of you become officers and will be a part of building this beautiful nation. Okay, thank you.